welcome back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. You may be able to see kind of in the distance, we just had a pretty decent storm blow through here.
Expect damage to roof, siding, and trees.
A lot of you may be hearing about some pretty severe flooding happening in western Kentucky. Thankfully, that hasn't happened here. Our hearts are absolutely breaking for the people of Mayfield and the surrounding areas because Lord knows they don't need more natural disasters. We actually haven't had a whole ton of rain in quite a while. I think maybe that area was a little bit more saturated than our area. Usually we do get a lot of standing water after a rain, but it's been relatively dry here, and so our land has soaked everything up. But I saw the storm coming on the radar and I knew that it was gonna have a lot of wind, and that's one of the more major concerns for us here. It's very flat, there's very little as far as windbreak goes, and so I ran out before the storm hit and collected the last of our elderberries, and I'm sticking them in the freezer. Hey bunnies, how you doing? Are you guys cozy in there? You can see here in the garden that the birdhouse gourd is pretty darn windswept, and so is our corn. We've had some pretty big issues where our corn will blow over and it stands back up and then it blows over again. This corn right here, see, it's pretty well blown over. This is our peaches and cream corn. It's basically done with like the pollination process. And truthfully, I think actually a lot of this corn is probably ready. I mean, at least I hope it is. That kind of took a lot of manhandling to get off the plant. But I have another area of corn right next to this one that I planted a little bit later, and those I don't think it even put up their tassels, so I just hope it's gonna be okay. Oh my goodness. This looks exactly like the corn that my parents used to buy on the side of the road in the summers in Maine. It was called sugar and gold corn, is what we called it up there. Peaches and cream. To me, there's really no difference. I'm sure there is. I'm sure they're two separate varieties. Oh, Levi's gonna be so excited. He wants to grill some of these real soon. Hi, sweet girl. You wanna say hi to the people? Yeah. Come here. My cat Remington, I looked for her before the storm blew in and she was nowhere to be found, but she's been hanging out outside with me ever since the storm passed, and she's pretty dry, so she took shelter somewhere. I did the thing again where I stepped into the garden without a harvest basket. I did just want to check on the corn and the other plants in here, so it's not really harvest time, so I just need to pretend that I can't see anything and walk out. We got this rabbit setup, this rabbit hutch setup from our neighbor, and I've really loved it. I have issues sometimes with trying to figure out how to keep the rabbits safe from weather, but this drape that comes down, it's just got, I think it's a piece of 1x2, I don't really know. It's got a rail that goes along and holds that down. It works very well even in higher wind situations, and this has been really sturdy. I think that this is some kind of landscape fabric or felt of some sort. Works super well, keeps everything dry and keeps the bunnies safe. So when I'm home and I hear my weather radio go off and I hear them say 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, I run out and I close up the greenhouse. And I've had a little bit of an issue because one of my squash has started to grow outside of the greenhouse, but I was able to shut it well enough, and I definitely need to open it because we need some airflow going on. He didn't get squished too badly. Oh, look at the little frog. There's a little squash down in here. This is our first year with this particular garden space. This is the lane. I've got a lot of vining things growing on along here, a lot of squash, a lot of melons. We've got some birdhouse gourd, and I have found that in high wind situations, this setup really isn't the best. Thankfully, it looks like a lot of things with nice, strong connections are holding on pretty well. But things that I didn't have a chance to really sling up before the weather have definitely popped off. So this is a sugar baby watermelon that is not ripe. Actually, I was out in town getting the things, or trying to get the things that I needed in order to string those up when the first storm hit and knocked most of them off. So that watermelon will set more blooms. It's not gonna be a really big deal. We'll get more watermelon in the future. The kids actually have a really big watermelon plant. I think it's actually 2 of them in their garden. So it's really not a big deal. We're gonna be having watermelon really soon, regardless. Hi, boys. Hi. Don't touch that fence. Feral. I got a snack for you. Come here, pig. Go get it. That's all I have. It was just one today. You'll notice at the backside of my barn, I kind of let go wild with weeds, and I do this every year. And it's not necessarily out of laziness. This serves a purpose because the roof of our barn, it doesn't have any kind of gutter or like rain catchment system hanging off of it. We are going to be putting that up pretty soon, I hope, by the time this year is over. But the rain, it just runs right off of the side and it pools up really bad on the back of our barn, and having larger plants like this in the back of the barn helps ensure that that doesn't just stand and sit and then seep into the barn. We want the inside of the barn to stay dry. Hello, bunnies. I know, is that scary? Hey, girls. And Mars. Hello. So the lighting is a little weird in here because my shade cloth is green, but my goats are probably not going to go out and graze for the rest of the day. I think we are going to get another round of rain here really soon, so I need to feed hay today. Good boy. Look at Pesky. She's due October 2nd, I believe. She looks so good. Hi, Tori. Why don't you go eat hay? You can weasel in there. Yeah. I really do need like a second hay feeder situation, but I am able to feed some hay in the kidding stalls. Hey, Stormy girl. You're so pretty. You are so pretty. It's really dark in here at the moment. Look how big Breezy is, you guys. She's trying to eat hay over Mama's back. I have started making my breeding plan for my goats for this fall. I'm actually thinking a lot about the fall season because it's summer. I need to be thinking one season ahead, and so I'm making plans for the fall garden as well as plans for breeding. And we already have a couple of 3 goats that are going to be giving birth this fall: Pesky, Mayhem, and Pepper. Those are going to be our fall milkers. Okay, we'll sit down. I know you need attention. Come here. But it's kind of crazy to already be thinking about breeding. So I was talking to my friend Dee over at Buck Creek Stables here in Kentucky, and she breeds standard and mini La Manchas. And I got Feral from her, and I got Tori from her. Tori right here. And my main question for her was, how big should I be trying to grow these girls out before I breed them? And she actually recommended that we don't breed their first fall, that we breed their second fall, so that they are giving birth when they're 2. And the reason for that is mini La Manchas are hybrid animals. They are out of Nigerians and La Manchas, and really, especially F1s and F2s, just crosses that are really early in the development development of the line, their genetics really aren't settled. And so a La Mancha, a mini La Mancha, could really throw kids that are more like Nigerians, or they could throw great big kids that are more like La Manchas. So Tori here that we got from Dee, she was a triplet. She has a sister and a brother. And then of course we have Elpis's triplet girls. And triplets, just by being triplets and having to share not only a uterus but an udder with their siblings, they're gonna be smaller. And so I think I have decided that I'm not gonna be breeding most of my mini La Manchas this year. But we can only see her butt at the moment because she's got her head in the hay. But this is Breezy. She's really big. And I'm gonna keep my eye out on her. I bred these girls, my La Manchas, in their first fall, and I waited until they were at least 80 pounds. Talia was actually 80 pounds in the nose when I put her in with my Nigerian Buck Havoc. Talia and Calamity, one of my other La Manchas, both had singles. Talia had a doe-link, Calamity had a buckling, and both of them had really easy deliveries, really very minimal assistance. I just kind of helped guide the babies out. And so I personally am comfortable waiting until Breezy herself is also right around 80 pounds, because that's what I did with my standards breeding back to minis. And so I think that's what I'm gonna do. The last time that I weighed Breezy, she was very close to being 30 pounds, and she's on her mama full time, getting as much milk as she can. And so I really don't think that she's gonna have a problem meeting that milestone. So she should be the first mini La Mancha that we're gonna breed on this farm. Like mini La Mancha to mini La Mancha. There she is. See how big she is? Huh? So here's Breezy next to Shindy right here. Now they're kind of separated, but I think you can tell the size difference. It's pretty darn dramatic. Oh, baby. I'll be solidifying my breeding plans and letting you know all about that very, very soon. I have a surprise. Some of you guys have already figured it out, but some of you guys haven't. However, the surprise will be here really soon. It's supposed to be here this Monday. I cannot wait to show you guys. I think it was in the last farm life vlog that we fermented these cucumbers. And you can see that the brine is a little bit cloudy. This is totally normal. So I think these have been in the brine for about a week. You can probably tell I've already tasted one. They're so good. Here, our fermented pickles. Super crunchy. And like most things that I've fermented, there's this very slight tangy effervescence when you bite into it. Super addicting. I actually love where these pickles are right now. So in order to kind of freeze them in time and not let them to ferment anymore, I'm just gonna put a solid lid over the top, stick it in the fridge, and these are gonna be good for many months. I have had ferments in the refrigerator for well over a year that have been just fine. All the refrigeration does is slow down the fermentation process. It actually slows it way down. It does still somewhat occur, and everything should stay fine just as long as the food remains under the brine. This is exactly what I was hoping for out of my gherkins this year. Over here in the freeze dryer, I've done a thing that I think I'm gonna video for you at some point. I just wanna figure out how I like it. I've been trying to find ways to preserve our milk and get the most out of our dairy. We've been making cheese. There's actually a whole bunch of things. I have a whole playlist on things that we make out of our goat's milk. And I may add this recipe to that list in the future. What this is, it's chia pudding. I've sweetened it with our honey, and I topped it with our blackberries. And I'm making kind of these dehydrated or freeze-dried breakfast bars. I actually saw the recipe for this on a channel called Retired at 40. He's got all kinds of freeze-drying recipes, and they looked really good. And honestly, this is just a very extremely busy time of year, and it's very easy to fall into convenience foods at this time of year because you do nothing but sweat outside in the heat all day. And honestly, the last thing that I want to do at the end of the day is turn on the oven and cook. Or sometimes it's even tiring to try to think about breakfast because I know that I've got a lot to do for the day and to get ready for the day. And so having grab and go stuff like this for us as well as our kids is going to be really valuable, and it's from the farm, which makes me feel really good. So once I get a chance to taste test these, this is gonna probably be about 40, maybe even close to 50 hours in the process. So I'm not gonna be able to show you the result at the end of this video, but if we like it, I am gonna go ahead and video that, and I'll stick it in our playlist that we have right here that shows you all of the things that we can make with our goat's milk.